Greetings, viewer. It is I, Hilariously Scary, and today we will be going over another evolution of one of my OCs. It's always really fun to do these videos because I spent so long on the old versions of these characters just to completely rewrite it and throw it all out the window. So it's really refreshing to get a chance to give these old stories a place to shine. And it's also kind of funny because it's wow, I used to think that this was a good idea, and now I kind of still think that it's a good idea, but I see why it's not exactly that great of an idea. That being said, if you haven't already seen Evolution of Philip, you should probably watch that before jumping into this, because I'm gonna be talking about that, because Philip's story and Desponia's story are so closely related because they are literally related. I'm just gonna jump right in with the start of the story. We're going back to 2014. Can you believe that was 5 whole years ago? So for those of you who have seen my Evolution of Philip video, then you already know that this story started out as a Code Geass fanfiction, but you may be asking, why make a super self-indulgent Code Geass fanfic? I mean, if you've seen the show, then that question should answer itself, but let's just go ahead and go back in time to 2014, where our journey begins. It was my sophomore year of high school, and I'd just begun to really get into anime. At this point in my life, I wanted to be a psychiatrist, but I wanted to be an author in my spare time, so I still came up with stories, as if you could just be an author in your spare time. I kept on coming up with these ideas and then dropping them a week later, and I was so frustrated. I just wanted a story that I could hold on to, something that I could develop for more than literally a week. So I decided to just kind of take a break from making stories for a bit, and I got to thinking about Solomon. Spoilers for the Bible, by the way, if you haven't read it. This is spoilers for Kings, I think. Okay, this bit is not going anywhere. So there's this part in Kings, I think, where God is yo, dude, Solomon, you're super awesome. You're so awesome that I'm gonna grant you any wish that you like. And I was yo, what if God did that for me? Because naturally I'm so awesome. I didn't actually think that, I was just curious. So I thought, what would I wish for? Control over everything? I mean, God wouldn't give me that because that would be really bad. Control over everything for a day? Still probably would be really bad. Every night before I went to sleep, though, I would mull it over. And then I watched Code Geass for the first time and fell absolutely head over heels for the main character, Lelouch. I would do anything to see him, I thought. That's when it hit me. Of course, I knew what my wish would be. I wished to go to the world of Code Geass. Every night, I would think about this scenario where God gave me a wish and I wished to go to see Lelouch. How would I approach him? Would I go in the middle of the rebellion, after it, before it? I kept on workshopping the story without even realizing that it was a story. I wanted a name to go by, but what? I picked something biblical, Delilah, the deceiver of Samson, super poetic. I chose the last name Master as a nod to her marriage to Lelouch, and thus Desponia was born, although under a different name. Once I was happy with that story, I thought, what else could I do in this universe where I can go to other universes? I started watching more anime and wondered how Delilah would interact with those characters, so I altered the wish. I wish I could go to any world. So Delilah traveled to the world of Death Note, No Game, No Life, Black Butler. If the anime was popular in 2014, Delilah went there. Around this time, I went to see a Marvel movie for the first time with a friend. I wasn't into the MCU at all at the time, but I was intrigued by the character of Stan Lee. As far as I knew, Stan Lee was just cameoed in every movie, and I thought that was such a missed opportunity. Wouldn't it be interesting if there's a character that appeared in everything that somebody made, and it was this huge mystery? Who is this character? How are they in everything? I thought about how I would handle this idea. I looked up the Greek goddess of mystery, Desponia. I still can't pronounce it. I made a mental note. Have a character with this name in all of your books. Make her super mysterious. Only I gave her the wrong name. Instead of Desponia, I called her Desponia. And eventually I realized that I could connect my world hopping twin to the character of Desponia. And that's where the character came from. Then one day it hit me. I'd finally found it. The story I could hold on to. It was a story that I was looking for so intently that I found it where I wasn't even looking. So with that in mind, I started to rework Desponia to be an actual character, which leads us to 2015. It's the start of something new. It feels so good to be here with you. I don't know what the tune is. I know that 2014 to 2015 isn't as much as a jump as I did with Philip. See, I tend to get hyper fixated on certain characters. From this point in 2015, I figured out the entire story with Desponia's character. Then in 2016, I went back and found out Intelligent's story, and that 10,000 or so year time span. And then I did the same in 2017 with Deduction and 2019 with Philip. I think that's why I've been able to hold on to this story for so long. I find characters that I like in this world that I already have developed, and then I keep on fleshing things out. But it all started with Desponia in 2015. So I had decided to take this character and turn it into a proper story. First things first, Desponia can't be me. If I'm gonna make a show about Desponia, she can't be a self-insert. Desponia can be just some random girl. Delilah. A normal human who is definitely not me. If she wasn't me, she probably didn't get her powers from God. So I decided she would get her powers from the devil himself. No joke! And since Lucifer is Desponia's sponsor, why not give her all the powers of the universe and not just teleportation? Desponia could fly, summon lasers, shapeshift, everything. Desponia was the best and nobody could stop her. I thought it'd be fun to give Desponia friends that also had superpowers, so I created a few. If they were all gods, I decided to call them overseers since I wasn't comfortable with the term god. Don't know where I got the term overseer from. It's lost to time. But if they were all gods, they had to be part of some sort of pantheon. So I created Death and Control, the leaders of the overseers. And thus, this narrative was created. Once upon a time, there's a girl named Delilah. Delilah was your average student with no particular interest in sports or school. Delilah daydreamed of being a superpowered overseer named Desponia who traveled the multiverse. Then, one day, as Delilah was walking home from school, she was stopped by a mysterious man. The man offered her a deal. I will make you into this Desponia if you do me a favor. What favor? Delilah asked. Don't worry about it, sweetheart. Let's just say you owe me one. So Delilah agreed. She went through this whole magical girl transformation where she turned into an epic goddess with purple hair and 2 different colored eyes. She wandered the multiverse until she was found by the other overseers. That's hard to say. Other overseers. Ugh. They're like, well, you're super powerful and also cool, so you must be an overseer too. And Desponia is like, sure, let's go with that. She met Paradox, who is a super shy overseer of chaos with powers that she wasn't allowed to use. She met Lucid, the overseer of dreams, and his twin brother, Lurid/Lupus. I kept on going back and forth on his name. It was a whole thing. Go ahead and insert the clip here. Future Sarah, please don't forget to not edit it in like you did last time and make a hole full of your... Lucid's brother, okay. His brother's name has changed many times. It was Lurid at first, but then I got too many complaints that Lurid was sexual, even though in the definition it just says negative emotions and says nothing about sexualness. And then it was Lupus, which I thought was a cool name because it meant like wolf and stuff. And I was like aware that it's also a disease, but I didn't care because it's just the Latin word for wolf. But then like every time I say lupus, people are like, ew, like the disease. I'm like, no, like the wolf. The Overseer of Nightmares. Desponia also met the leader of the Overseers, Control, the Overseer of, Control. He told her to stay put and not bother the humans, but Desponia decided that she was not going to listen to him. You can't tell me what to do. The story is basically Desponia taking her friends to different universes. They were agents of chaos, always leaving a path of destruction through the dimensions they went to. I didn't really have any solid ideas or plot points for what they did. I just had a general chaotic neutrals gone wild idea. I thought that was all I needed for a TV show. And then once I had a team of writers, we could come up with episode ideas. So all I really needed was the beginning and the end. And what an end I had planned. See, here's the big plot twist. Desponia, get this, was the villain all along. Apparently the favor she owed the devil was to kill all the overseers. By the way, the overseers stored their powers in these little crystals. So after running around with Paradox and Lucid for a while, Desponia decided to settle down. She and Lupus/Lurid got married. I think she technically married the twin brother, and it's super weird because they're like the same person. I don't know. They had 3 kids, Stephanie, Octavius, and Rielu, although Rielu was secretly Desponia and Fate's love child. Shh, don't tell anybody. And then Desponia went around killing the other overseers, starting with Paradox, and gathered up all their powers. Eventually, she went straight to Control and Death and killed both of them. She was all-powerful, undefeatable. Except somebody did defeat her, eventually. The Judge, a mythical figure from prophecy. He showed up, challenged Desponia to a fight, and slowly stripped her of all her crystals until Desponia had no choice but to run away. The Judge then took Control's crystal and gave it to Octavius, to rule as the new head overseer. Octavius eventually gave the necklace to Rielu so he could run away with his new girlfriend, but then, Rielu ruled as the top dog of the overseers, and they never found Desponia. Legend says she's still out there, somewhere, in the multiverse. And that brings us to 2019. So, where are we now? Well, Desponia's story has changed quite a lot over the years. Pretty early on, her powers changed from being all-powerful back to just being able to travel through dimensions, and I went back and forth on the brother until eventually I deleted him, but it didn't change significantly until this year. You see, this year I changed 2 very important details about Desponia. 1. Desponia is no longer the main character of the universe. She was great as the main character at first, as she was the character that sparked it all. However, as I started to develop the side characters in the world more, I realized that if Desponia was the main character, I wouldn't be able to explore the full world of the Overseers. So Philip became the main character instead. If I got a chance to make a TV show based on Desponia, she would be the MC of that show, but she's not the main character of the whole story anymore. And 2, Desponia is no longer evil. I decided that it would be a little bit weird for Desponia to be so blatantly evil, so I made her a bit more morally gray. She's got a lot more nuance to her now. It's like super hip. So let's talk about Desponia's story in 2019. Her story is still up in the air a bit since I haven't actually sat down to develop the whole thing. I'll just give you the premise for the TV show as it stands now, so I'm not going to give away all the answers. One day, a girl wakes up in a strange hotel. At the receptionist's desk, there's a dead man cut cleanly in half, surrounded by empty vials. Scattered around her in a mess of papers are notes that read, "Don't remember." She holds a note in her hand, the only note that is different from the rest. It reads, "Your name is Desponia. You need to find Lucid." So Desponia obeys. She can't remember anything, but she can still speak and read. She knows how to teleport and knows that those powers are connected to the blue earring she wears, but she doesn't know why. She travels the multiverse until she ends up on this totally bizarre and weird planet that nobody's heard of. It's called Earth, where she finds a boy named Lucid, and she almost recognizes him, but she certainly recognizes the pink crystal that he wears around his neck. She tries to explain everything to him, but realizes that he's not going to answer any of her questions. In fact, he can't say anything. He's completely mute. Now, this is no problem for somebody who can travel to alternate dimensions. Desponia brings them to a dimension where they sell devices that voice people's thoughts. Desponia gives the device to Lucid, who is incredibly grateful, but as Desponia quickly discovers, not very talkative. He doesn't really know anything about her past or the note she found, but he tells her that they have met before, and that she actually gave him the necklace and his powers. Desponia tries to press further, but Lucid really doesn't seem comfortable going into his past. Still, he promises to help Desponia as payment for the necklace and the new voice. The two retrace their steps and return to Earth. That's when they're found by a new group of people, the Overseers. The Overseers recognize their crystals and their powers, and take them to the head of the Overseers, Control. Desponia explains her situation. Control finds this incredibly worrisome, especially since, according to his sources, both Desponia and Lucid are very powerful Overseers. He tells them that he doesn't know how, but that they are Overseers, and welcomes them to their new home, the spaceship that the Overseers live on. It's a whole thing. And sets them up to be fully integrated into Overseerian society. Desponia and Lucid learn more about the Overseers, who they are, how they function. They meet Entropy, the Overseer of Chaos. Desponia is super excited to meet the literal embodiment of chaos, but is disappointed to discover that she's actually a really timid sweetheart. Still, Des is determined to make friends with her. Desponia, apparently having failed physics, also decides that Entropy is a super boring name for the goddess of chaos. How about Paradox? That's way cooler than Entropy, Desponia says. Okay, Entropy says, and thus Paradox was her new name, I guess. I'm really having to speed through this interaction, but it's a bit more complicated than that, but whatever. Paradox introduces Des and Lucid to the only other Overseer that she talks to, her boyfriend, Adventure, the Overseer of, well, Adventure. Desponia is like, now we're talking, Overseer of Chaos and the Overseer of Adventure. Let's go find a dimension where they party 24/7 and just go crazy. But Adventure steps in and is like, now hold on, Missy, we can't just leave. We're not allowed to talk to non-Overseers, much less go crazy. And that's how Desponia discovered that the Overseer of Chaos and the Overseer of Adventure are total wet blankets. Also, what's that thing about not being able to interact with non-Overseers? Adventure tells her that there's this big prophecy that apparently makes it so they're not allowed to interact with humans or any non-Overseers. Desponia is like, that's BS, but like, whatever. Anyways, Desponia still wants to get her memories back. She's not getting anywhere here. She pulls Lucid aside and is like, yo, let's bounce. Lucid shakes his head and turns back to Adventure and Paradox. Desponia needs help. Will you help us? He asks. And he's just so gosh darn pure that Paradox is like, okay, I'm in. And Adventure's like, okay, I'll help, but only to make sure y'all don't get caught. And thus, the trouble suit is born. That's what I call them, because they offer like one of the deck of suits of cards. I don't know what they're called. Anyways, they travel the multiverse looking for clues about Desponia's past. And that's all I'm gonna say. What was up with all those notes that say don't remember? What was the point of making Lucid mute if Des was just gonna ex machina it? How did Desponia and Lucid fall in love? All these questions and more will be answered eventually. Maybe, I don't know. Like I said, the plot is still kind of up in the air. It's not going to change too much, but I'm not totally sold on the amnesia plot. Like, it's necessary and it makes sense in universe for Desponia to not remember, but it also seems so gosh darn cliche to me. Like, she needs to not remember, but like, can you get more cliche? Anyways, let me know what y'all think. So now you have an idea of who Desponia is and where she's at in life. I'm going to turn this over to the questions that I so kindly received on the community tab. I gotta admit, I was not expecting so many questions, and I totally messed up by saying that you should write it as if you're talking directly to Desponia, because like, as much as I'd love to go out and find a VA and animate Desponia answering all your questions, I have homework to do. So I'm just gonna answer the questions for her, and y'all can just imagine that Desponia is like talking on screen to you, and it's like super immersive. So yeah, let's get to that. Olivia L says, why is Desponia's name not a word like the other overseers? Intelligence, knowledge, obsession, curiosity, etc. Desponia's name isn't like the overseers because, as explained, she wasn't born an overseer. The overseers are given the name of whatever they are the overseer of, so people that weren't born as overseers, like Desponia or Lucid, don't have those names. Desponia does have an overseer name, the Overseer Space, so the other overseers will occasionally call her Space and Lucid Dreams. We just call her Desponia because that's what she goes by. Ria Marway, and I think a couple other people asked, very important question for Desponia. Do you like pineapple on pizza? Desponia does like pineapple on pizza, and she will fight you on this. She doesn't always eat pineapple on pizza. Her favorite pizza topping is sausage, but like, she'll eat a good pineapple sausage pizza. Galaxy Girl asks, Desponia, do you have any enemies? Like, while you're going to different timelines. I think this is one of those that a couple other people asked. Desponia considers all of the overseers to be her enemies because they all equally suck, especially Lucid. OANK asks, coffee or tea? Desponia is coffee all the way. Paysui Capital asks, Desponia, if you were placed in a killing game where you're forced to kill your companions to get out, who would you kill and why? Well, Desponia will respond by saying that you should probably get that coughs checked out, because if you're typing your coughs, then it's pretty bad. But Desponia would also say that she would totally just murder everybody and wouldn't care about who she was killing. She's just gonna kill everybody. I mean, she probably wouldn't, but she's gonna say that she will. Not pineapple, I can't pronounce usernames, asks, Desponia, out of your friend group, who is your favorite person to spend time with? Desponia would answer, nobody, because they all equally suck, especially Lucid. Lauren Falcons asks, is she good or evil? That's the thing they're most confused about whenever they're watching the animatics and stuff. Desponia is not good, but she is not evil. I think that she would like to think that she's chaotic neutral, but she's actually chaotic good. She has a good heart, but she doesn't have the best way of going about it sometimes. So sometimes she'll do what she thinks is the best thing, but it's bad. Something asks, what is your favorite song? Desponia's favorite song is, oh gosh, what's it called? Dun dun dun, let's start, this is where it's part. Oh, I just realized I forgot to answer the last part of the first question. What year are you born in? Desponia was born, let me think. Oh, I hate my timeline. I think it was 1970. I think she's born in 1970. Silver Productions asks, Desponia, buddy, pal, this will make or break everything. Are you a dog or a cat person? Desponia is a cat person, much to my personal disgust as a dog person. White Rose asks, was your hair cut or was it always short? In her old designs, she always has cut hair, but in the new design, in her TV show, she has long hair that she wears up in a ponytail. And then when she's older, she has cut hair. It's to show people what part of the timeline she's in. So if you see her with like a ponytail, then she's younger. If you see her with cut hair, then she's older, and if you see her with long hair that's not in a ponytail, she's crazy. Peach Kimono asks, how do you feel about the life you have now? Would you trade it to be a common human citizen? Desponia really loves all her power. She doesn't like hanging out with the overseers, but she sees it as kind of a necessary evil because they do give her like food and a place to stay. She wouldn't go back to being a normal human, but if she could go rogue and not be hunted down by the overseers and killed, that would be ideal. Satan, oh gosh, it's her old patron, asks, Dear Desponia, what are your feelings in regards to love as a very long-lived space-time omnipotent being? Yep, that is Desponia. Desponia doesn't need no man, and she's not into anybody. Definitely not. Hates everybody. They're the worst, especially Lucid. Dynamite Plays asks, if you had to change your hair color, what would you change it to? Also, what's your favorite meme? Desponia doesn't know what memes are. I know, heresy. If Desponia had to change her hair color, she would change it to purple. Not that purple is not naturally her hair color. It is definitely naturally her hair color. But if she had to change it, it would also be to purple. Aaron Burr asks, Desponia, kiss, marry, kill, Philip obsession, intelligence. This is why y'all are not allowed to ship. Like, there's so many things that are wrong with this. But if I was pressed to say what Desponia would do, she would kiss Philip on the forehead as he is her beautiful son. She would kill obsession and then marry intelligence, but only because you forced her hand. One true being number 001AI asks, are you the overseer of mistresses? Women in romantic or sexual relationship with a man who isn't married to the man may or may not be married to someone else. Desponia would be like, yo, what the heck, man? The cookie asks, act quick, you are flying on a private plane and suddenly the engine breaks. What's your first move? Teleport away!
Shouldn't she save the other people?
What other people? It's a private jet. There's only a pilot and she doesn't care about him. If the pilot dies, you don't have to pay for the plane. Katrina Uwu asks, so Desponia, will you marry me? Uwu? Desponia says no. Sorry. Oh, and here we go. All the questions of people asking about Desponia's hair. Yes, her hair is totally natural. I don't know what gives you the impression that she would dye her hair purple. It's definitely real. It's her real hair color. She definitely does not have any other hair color besides purple. It's totally real. Okay, I'm leaving. Bye. Sorry, I mean, like, that's all I have. I hope that this was some sort of enjoyable. Anyways, I will see y'all in the next video. Bye!